This is the High Voltage Business Builders Podcast, daily intelligence for serious e-commerce portfolio builders across Amazon, TikTok Shop, Shopify, Walmart, and every channel that moves the needle. Neil Twa and his Voltage team all day, every day since 2012. Let's get into it.
Before we get into today's topic, answer this. Two operators, same revenue, same category. One sells for 3 times EBITDA. The other walks away with 6 times. What did the second one build that the first one missed? Stick around. The answer is more specific than you think, and it will change how you run your brand starting today. It's Tuesday, June 23rd. Welcome back, folks. A quick special shout out to my daughter Brooke, who turns 18 today. An avid artist and writer, her latest children's book, I Love Lance, is now available for sale, and I couldn't be more proud of what she's building in her publishing business. The book is a gentle, beautifully illustrated picture book about a misunderstood little rooster named Lance and the quiet hen who hears something nobody else does. Because sometimes, all it takes is one heart that understands. You can find this new adventure on the homestead at brookleyann.com. That's brookleyann.com. Grab a copy for the kids who need a new bedtime reading adventure. Now, on behalf of myself and the entire Voltage team, we're glad you're here for episode 303 of the High Voltage Business Builders podcast. Now, lock it in. Here's the reality. Exit multiples are not random. They are a report card on every decision you made about your brand. And most operators don't find that out until they're sitting across from a buyer. That's too late. Today we're talking about brand equity, what it actually means in e-commerce, and why it is the single biggest lever on your final sale price. Look, brand equity is not a marketing department word. It is not about your logo being pretty or your color palette being on trend. In e-commerce, brand equity is a financial signal. It tells a buyer whether your revenue is sticky or fragile, and fragile revenue gets discounted. Hard. Here's what I've watched happen across more than 13 years of building and advising brands. An operator hits $1 million a year in revenue. They're proud of it. They should be. But when a buyer runs due diligence, they find a single hero SKU driving 80% of sales, a review profile that's mostly organic but thin, no supplier exclusivity, no trademark, and a repeat purchase rate so low it might as well be a one-time novelty item. That operator gets offered 2 times EBITDA, maybe 2.5, and they're shocked. The operator who gets 5 or 6 times built something a buyer cannot easily replicate or replace. That's the whole game. So what does brand equity look like in specific, measurable terms? First, your review mode. Not just volume, velocity, recency, and average rating across your SKU catalog. A brand with 4,000 reviews and a 4.7 average on its top 5 SKUs is harder to displace than a brand with 12,000 reviews on one SKU and nothing else. Buyers know this. Second, repeat purchase rate. If your subscribe and save penetration is above 15%, that is a real number that moves multiples. It tells a buyer your customers chose you again, without a coupon, without a price cut. That is almost automated income in the truest sense. Third, supplier exclusivity. Even a soft exclusivity agreement, documented and transferable, tells a buyer your margins are defensible. Without it, they assume a competitor can source your exact product tomorrow, because they probably can. Fourth, trademark coverage. This is non-negotiable. If you have not filed, you are handing buyers a discount card. Amazon brand registry matters, but the underlying trademark is what a buyer's legal team looks for. And fifth, visual identity. Recognizable packaging, consistent creative, a brand someone could pick out of a lineup. This is not vanity. It is the difference between a product and a brand. Buyers pay more for brands, every time. Most operators optimize revenue. Revenue without brand infrastructure is not an asset. It is a job you're trying to sell. Let me tell you about David. When we started working together, he had 6 SKUs and about $30,000 a month in revenue. Good operator, sharp guy, but his brand was essentially a label on a commodity product. No trademark, no supplier agreement. Review counts were thin. He was running paid ads to survive every month, and his repeat purchase rate was low single digits. We did not tell him to go find more SKUs. We told him to go build the brand underneath the ones he had. He filed the trademark. Took a few months, but it happened. He renegotiated with his supplier and locked in a documented first right of refusal on 2 product lines. He rebuilt his packaging, went through brand registry, and started a post-purchase sequence that drove subscribe and save enrollment. Nothing exotic. Disciplined execution. And then he kept building SKUs, the right way, using what we call the 5x5 framework, patient SKU economics, not chasing revenue spikes. By March of this year, David was doing $850,000 a month, close to a $10 million annual run rate, over 100 SKUs, roughly 90% organic. Here's the thing, though. The number that matters most for his eventual exit is not the revenue. It is the brand infrastructure underneath it, the review moat across a deep catalog, the supplier exclusivity, the trademark, the repeat purchase behavior baked into his customer base. When a buyer looks at David's brand, they do not see a product business. They see a defensible asset. That is the difference between a 3 times offer and a 5 or 6 times offer on the same EBITDA. I have watched operators with half his revenue get better multiples because they built the brand right. And I have watched operators with his revenue get lowball offers because they skipped the infrastructure. The buyer does not care how hard you worked. They care what you built.
Would you like to have another $26,400 on your bottom line while saving 17 hours a week? With the new Voltage Cayman Data MCP, you can use the power of AI to reduce your time and increase your net profit. More than just ads management, it's a full AI-driven operator in the palm of your hands. Visit VoltageDM.com to learn how the Voltage Cayman Data MCP plus your data can 10x your Amazon brand in 2026 and beyond. And now, back to the podcast.
3 moves, right now. No matter where you are in your business. Move 1. Run a brand equity audit on your own account. Pull your repeat purchase rate, your subscribe and save penetration, your review velocity across your top 5 SKUs, and your trademark status. Write it down. This is what a buyer sees in week 1 of due diligence. If you have not looked at it, you are flying blind toward an exit you have not prepared for. And yes, this applies if you're doing $10,000 a month. Build the habit now or fix the mess later. One of those is cheaper. Move 2. File the trademark if you have not. I know, it feels like a legal project you'll get to someday. Someday is costing you real money on your eventual exit. A registered trademark adds legitimacy to your brand registry, protects you from hijackers, and signals to a buyer that you took your brand seriously. The filing cost is a few $100s. The multiple impact is thousands per dollar of EBITDA. That math is not close. Move 3. Have one conversation with your supplier about exclusivity. It does not have to be a locked ironclad contract today. A documented first right of refusal, a minimum order commitment in exchange for preferred pricing, something on paper that says your margins are not open to the first competitor who calls. Buyers discount brands with 0 supplier protection. They pay premiums for brands with documented defensibility. Here's the honest truth. Most operators think about their exit when they're ready to sell. The operators who get top multiples thought about their exit when they were building. That is the entire difference. The brand equity that commands a 5 or 6 times multiple is not built in the 6 months before you list your business. It is built in the years before that. Start today. Even if you're at $20,000 a month, especially if you're at $20,000 a month. Look, you just heard 3 moves that apply whether you're at $10,000 a month or $10 million. Brand equity is not a concept for later. It is the number that shows up on your term sheet. And if you haven't started building it, you're already behind the sellers who will sell for a higher multiple than you. Here's where I want you to go next. If you're ready to stop building alone and start building with a room of operators who are doing this work right now, come find us at VoltageDM.com. The Voltage Business Builders Cohort is an annual membership built around one goal: $100,000 in net new profit, operator-led guidance, real accountability, and a community of sellers who are not here to swap theories. They're here to build real brands with real exits in mind. We've been doing this for 13 years, not coaching from a whiteboard, running the plays, advising the builds, watching the exits. When someone in our community asks about brand equity and exit multiples, they're not getting a framework from a slide deck. They're getting operator experience from people who've sat across the table from aggregators and lived to tell the story. This is not a course. This is not a mastermind where you pay to network. This is a cohort built around execution. If that sounds like the room you need, go to voltagedm.com and take a look. All right, that's episode 303 of the High Voltage Business Builders podcast. Brand equity, exit multiples, and why the number a buyer pays for your business starts with decisions you make today. I'm Neil Twa. See you tomorrow.